I wrote this whole business plan about how we could take bottled water and put it in private label for all of these concert promotions, concert venues across North America. And the first sentence coming out of my mouth, and he said, "Over my dead body."
Sounds like a dad.
Over my dead body, are you gonna build a plastic factory in my hometown? Not a chance.
Today we're talking about plastics and water. Now, most Canadians, including myself, believe that we're being environmentally conscious by sorting our plastics into the blue bins. But the truth is less than 10% of those plastics are actually recycled. In fact, 50% of single-use bottled plastic water bottles, even the recyclable ones, go into landfills, where apparently each bottle takes about 450 years to decompose. But here's another level of concern. There was a new study that was done by the National Academy of Science that analyzed bottled water from 3 different US brands and found an average of 240,000 plastic particles, nanoparticles per liter leaching out from the bottled water into what we're drinking. That's nanoplastic that we're drinking. Now, can business help solve that problem? I believe absolutely it can. How? That's the challenge, especially in a crowded and very competitive market like bottled water. And that's mostly run by really big players. Can you take on the really big players? The answer is yes. The how is what we're going to dive into today with Nicholas Reichenbach, serial entrepreneur, founder, chairman, and CEO of Flow Mineral Water, a B Corp company on a mission to reduce environmental impacts by providing sustainably sourced, naturally occurring alkaline spring water in a recyclable and up to 75% renewable plant-based stock. Now, I'm so excited to dive into the story behind the Flow brand, and especially how Nicholas transformed an epiphany that he had at the Burning Man Festival into a $100 million IPO and the fastest growing premium water company in North America. Let's get to it. It's so awesome to have you on the show, Nicholas. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Yeah.
I listen, the last time that we had a conversation, we were like chatting at a Jackman sort of, I think it was like a lunch and learn. And I loved your story when I heard it the first time. And I was like, dude, we got to get this guy on the podcast. We got to dig into this story. I think it would be such an inspiration for people to hear how the genesis of Flow Water came. And I think it's really important for people to hear where these ideas come from. So let's start at the beginning. Start at the beginning. Take me back.
Way back when?
Take me back to Burning Man. Take me back to Burning Man.
I can even go further back.
Okay, do it.
The genesis of Flow came from my family owning a very large artesian mineral water spring in South Bruce County in Ontario, Canada.
Yeah.
And I grew up on that spring, so I've been exclusively drinking Flow since I was born.
With pre-packaging.
Pre-packaging. It's a beautiful property, 25-acre property with this artesian spring that's extremely unique geographically to North America.
Yeah.
We're one of the only mineral water springs that exist in North America. We own another one in Virginia that we luckily found. That's a whole other story. And so water was, kind of in my DNA from the start.
Yeah.
My father was one of the founders of one of the first bottled water companies in Canada.
Wow.
Back in 1981, he started Formosa Springs Water Company.
Okay.
And he took an old beer factory and he converted it into a glass bottling line that compete against Evian and Perrier, only the two companies in the world that were selling water in glass bottles in Canada. So growing up in a very small town, Mildmay, Ontario, I'm very proud of. I remember water and being around me all the time. And my father starting one of the first bottled water companies, it was really, I got to see that at a very influential age. I think I was 8 years old at the time. And we went through that whole process of him launching a bottled water, both in still and sparkling, and having guests over to the house all the time, big parties. And I remember that. And I always had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to start a water company. And as the story goes, I was a concert promoter for the first 10 years of my career, 18 to 28 years old. I'm aging myself. And I approached my father to do a bottled water company to sell into all of the concert venues and nightclubs and on-premise and on-premise strategy. And at that time, he had sold the glass bottled water company, and they converted it back to a beer factory, which still exists, Formosa Springs beer.
That's cool.
And using that water. And he never wanted to commercially develop this property because it's off the grid.
Right.
It's a beautiful artesian condition. It's called Blue Lake Springs. And it produces like a high quality water, but he's a conservationist. So he didn't want a factory. And at that time, it switched from glass to plastic.
Okay.
And I approached him. I wrote a whole business plan. I remember it was on my fourth year international commerce program degree. And I wrote this whole business plan about how we could take bottled water and put it in private label for all of these concert promotions, concert venues across North America. And the first sentence coming out of my mouth, and he said, "Over my dead body."
Sounds like a dad.
Over my dead body, are you gonna build a plastic factory in my hometown? Not a chance.
Oh, dang.
I was like, oh my God. So I didn't even, I printed this up at Kinko's at the time.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful, like thick business plan with financials and all that stuff. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that I even wrote a business plan. I just said, well, that didn't go so hot. And then I actually moved into being the first Red Bull distributor in North America.
Okay.
So it kind of pushed me into, well, if we're not going to sell water, we're going to sell energy. Drinks at the time. And I did a deal with the Thai family to bring Red Bull into North America. And I distributed it successfully for almost 7 years before Klaus came in with the Red Bull can in the early 2000s into North America. And I realized, I was like, okay, this isn't going to go well. So we actually wrote him a letter and everything saying we'd take the rights to Red Bull in North America. And he wrote back, and this was before emails.
Yeah.
And he wrote back a letter, and my partner still has it today, saying as soon as the taurine becomes legal, that we could distribute it. And well, as the story goes, I sold the company in 2001. And so we stopped distributing Red Bull. And so I got cut in an early age into beverage and really enjoyed it. And clearly couldn't develop a water company at that time. And then fast forward, 2005, I was living in Europe, in Scandinavia, in Sweden, and I was on a business trip, and I was a tech entrepreneur.
Right.
I guess I am still technically, but I haven't started any tech companies since I started Flow 10 years ago, and we were in Norway, and I saw this beautiful cylinder bottle called Voss. So I drank it. I was like, oh, this is great. I emptied it out. And when I moved back to Canada in 2005, I approached him again and said, I think we could do something really great in glass. It doesn't have the plastic factory, and we could do a premium product on premise.
Right.
In restaurants and clubs and all that stuff. And he said, look, I'm going to be dead soon, and you can do whatever you want when I die.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
And I was like, I'm making progress here. So I shelved that idea and continued down my tech path. And I made video games at the time. And I, continued to successfully publish video games all the way up to having moved to New York and then San Francisco. And after selling one of my companies, I was kind of faced with, what am I going to do next?
Big question.
And, I had I think 2 days went by after I resigned from got resigned from the board of the company, and I was off my golden parachute, as they say.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I got to get a job. And moped around my condo for 2 days. And my wife said, what are you doing? Like, you're not going to get a job. You haven't done a job ever. And she's known me for a long time, almost 30 years. Mm-hmm. And she's from the same area, the same county. She grew up with,
wow.
within 5 miles from me and within 2.5 miles from the spring. So she's actually, the spring was in between us.
Wow.
And she said, you're not going to get a job. And I said, okay, I guess I'm not going to get a job. Then I'm going to be a perpetual, serial entrepreneur for the rest of my life.
Right.
And one of my old roommates when I lived in London, England, was living in San Francisco too. And he said, well, if you want an epiphany, people go to Burning Man. I'm like, Burning Man? What's that? He said, it's a festival in the middle of the desert where you go and see art and experience life and all this stuff. So, of course, I went to Burning Man with him that year, 2013, together with a camp from the UK. And at the end of, being dehydrated, drinking 4 or 5 liters of water a day, and I drank Evian at the time, and there's a reason for that. It's very similar to Flow. And it's a 200-year-old multi-billion-dollar brand and company. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the week, I discovered there was 2 things I didn't like about water, premium water. One is in plastic, and before even an article was written on the internet, I tasted microplastics in the water, and it made a real off taste. I'm like, oh my God, this can't be good for you, because it's the desert and heats up water and all that stuff. And then the second thing, when I went to recycle all of the plastic bottles, they do it all around the cell phone tower. I was like, looked at the mountain of plastic. It was 70,000 people, 7 days, 2 to 3 liters, 4 liters of water. It was gigantic. Yeah. And I just looked and I said, oh my God, this is an environmental disaster.
Yeah.
And it's gotta be a better way. Yeah. There's gotta be a compostable package made from renewable resources that can hold premium water, that doesn't see sunlight or air. So it keeps the quality of the Flow taste. And that was the epiphany. Boom. Flow was born.
Okay, so let me
ever since.
Yeah, let me just pause for a second, because I want to just hover on this idea of, were you a man in search of a problem, or did the problem find you? And I ask it this way because your friend said to you, if you want an epiphany, go to Burning Man. Now, not everybody can go to Burning Man.
No.
But everybody can be open to, something coming into their mind as an inspiration. Talk a little bit about just kind of the state of mind that you were in that allowed you to see and connect a problem with a solution. Like, Burning Man is amazing. I've never been, but I've heard it's pretty awesome and pretty radical. But there's a state of mind that you were in, and I'm so desperately wanting to call it the flow state, but I'm not going to.
It's the flow state, though. It is the flow state, Amanda.
It is.
That's exactly what it is.
It is. Call it what it is. So, but you were in that state. So talk a little bit about this. How were you a man looking for a problem, or did the problem find you because you were in that state?
Yeah. So I would say the problem found me because I was in that state. Yeah. And I am in the flow state almost every day.
Yeah.
With flow. And there's reasons for that. I'm very passionate about what we do. I get a lot of enjoyment and pride of what we do too. And it feels like every day I'm surfing a wave. You know what I mean? That wave is positivity, right? Like we're doing something really good for the planet, but we're sharing my beautiful family's artesian mineral water spring to the rest of the world. And at the same time, we're having a positive impact. So I feel like I'm on my flow wave. And in the flow state. But, you know, it's funny. When you look at all the companies I've done in the past 30 years, they're all exactly the same thesis, and they're all the same. Directional problem that I'm solving, which is I've always invested in consumer products.
Okay.
So, like, I don't think I've ever invested in a non-consumer product. And so I've been really focused on consumer intention and consumer intention to purchase. And consumer intention to purchase always lags from where the market is. Consumers are kind of saying, hey, you know what? I really don't like drinking out of plastic. But then that doesn't change Coca-Cola's opinion of plastic, or Nestle's position, or Avion, or anyone else's position, because they've invested in all this infrastructure that is now used to match consumers' intention to purchase. But now the consumer is starting to say, okay, I want something different. And so I pay attention to that. And I use myself as a good gauge to, you know, hey, if I'm feeling this way, there's got to be tens of millions of people feeling exactly the same way, exactly at the same time. So I'm always looking for that intention to purchase. And the disruption that it would take in order to get a product to market is exactly the white space that you need as an entrepreneur to get a product into market without getting clobbered by the big guys. Because if I tried to put flow in a plastic bottle, I would have been clobbered. Nor would I have done that. But if I had gone directly in competition with them, it wouldn't have given enough space for disruption. And so, you know, in the tech world, it's called the early adopters and crossing the chasm. It was a book written in the late 1990s, early 2000s, where it basically said, you know, you have to cross this chasm where companies are catching up to consumers using things, or consuming things. And so my whole thesis was, if I feel this way, it's time that we could actually start one of the first sustainable water companies focused on the disruption of no plastic bottles, and having something that's better for you, better for the planet. And that set me off on this journey of flow. But I always look for this exact same thing, which is big companies aren't going to do it because it's too special, it's too niche. But there's a huge amount of consumers that want it. And that's when I engaged with Joe Jackman, who was on my board until recently, for the last 8 years. And I said, Joe, I think that this is, you know, here's my mocked up package. I think that we could put my family spring water in a Tetra Pak. And so Tetra Pak's a European company. It's about 14 billion in sales. It's privately held by a family. And they have a 97% household penetration in Europe. So I saw Tetra Paks everywhere, and everyone knows them for the Tetra Prisma for coconut water. I was like, why hasn't someone put a premium mineral water inside a coconut water vessel? Because it matches everything that I want to solve as a consumer. I don't want plastic, so I get high quality paperboard. This cap is made from sugarcane. As well. And I cold called the CEO, as you do when you're an entrepreneur. I cold called the CEO. I got her on the phone, Carmen, the CEO of Tetra Pak North America. And I said, you know, can we put mineral water inside a Tetra Pak? And she said, no, you can't. Oh, why? She said, because we don't have inner liner that would protect water from the cardboard inner liner, so it wouldn't taste good. We only have juice liners. And so after a couple meetings and synchronizing on a larger vision of how we could disrupt the water category,
Right.
I convinced her to put some money aside for R&D in Germany to create an interliner made for Flow, Flow's mineral water inside a Tetra Pak. And we came out with the first water paper board against a very small group of competitors that were trying to do the same thing, but not using a water paperboard, because one of the criterias I had was zero residual taste.
Right.
So never compromise the taste, because Flow's taste is incredible. And our 20 million consumers, 65% of them buy it on taste and quality.
Oh, wow.
So they buy it on the water, not the package.
Right.
And then when you match the almost 25% that buy it on the package alone, you make up the bulk, 95% of our users that just buy it on taste, quality, and sustainability and packaging. And that really gave us a leg up on everybody to take advantage of that white space and launch Flow into market as the first water company, first mineral water inside a Tetra Pak and inside a carton, this is the category. They're called cartons, and milk cartons and all that stuff. And they have a high recycling rate. So we're the first ones, and together with the help of her, because we wouldn't be here without Tetra Pak and without their continued support, we were able to become the largest bottled, packaged water company in the world.
Wow.
And we're by far the largest, and we're number one in North America and number one in the world for cartoned water. And that's what I look for. I look for the white space. Where consumer intention has not been satisfied by the existing industry, and the chasm that you have to crawl across in order to make that bridge between them. And hopefully you have enough time before they catch up to you. And in this case, we've been at it for 10 years, and they're not even remotely close to catching up to us. And mainly because the market's too small for them still.
Wow.
Even though sustainable packaging and water is growing at triple digits every year, it's starting to catch the attention of the larger companies.
Of the big guys.
You see them moving into aluminum and stuff like that. So we're still the number one, and we will be for probably the next 3 to 5 years.
There's so much in what you just shared that I want to unpack. Maybe let's just start in this first place, this idea of taking on the big guys in the bottled water category who have always done things a certain way. They have the processes, they have the factories, they have the way to do it. And so why or what gave you the idea that you would be the best founder to take this on? Considering you're going up against these bigger players. And then sort of the part two to that. So it's kind of this David and Goliath a little bit, the way that water's always been done in the shape of plastic. And then you have an idea, but you've come out of the tech space. So what gave you the feeling that you were the best person for the job if you were pitching this to an investor? Because clearly you pitched this to Tetra Pak and they bought into it. So how did you pitch yourself?
Well, there's like two answers to that question. One is a valuable lesson. I didn't think I was the right person. And I didn't think about being the right person either. I just thought about the opportunity of me doing this with my family. Spring gave me the license to actually play in this. So every entrepreneur has to have these two qualities: tenacity and ignorance. Because no one in their right mind would ever take on Goliath and fire pebbles at him, because it's not logical. And most of the people that I pitched Flow at before we launched thought I was crazy. They're like, what do you mean? Like, how are you they're gonna copy you and they're gonna crush you and all that stuff. And I was totally ignorant to it. I didn't realize what I was about to do, and I didn't think about it. And I'm tenacious. And I see the opportunity, and I see like how many people have lived in Europe that know Tetra Pak.
Yeah.
And brought the two together. Really gave me the confidence level to be able to do it, because I didn't really think that was the right person. I just knew it was the right time. And that was more important than being the right person. Then the second thing is, back to the story. I knew enough about beverage distribution with my Red Bull 7 years,
Right.
that I knew that I could forge an on-premise type of independent distribution strategy, because I knew how to build those. And so how I kind of brought it to market was really unique. My background in tech all revolve around digital subscriptions.
Okay.
So I used to sell the New York Times crossword game, which is like $100 subscription product every year. I did Texas Hold'em King Poker, understood the digital funnel and digital marketing, and understood what's called LTV, lifetime value.
Right.
And so I said, now I know I can do an individual, like independent distribution strategy. But I also knew I could do a direct to consumer e-commerce strategy, because nobody was doing it in water, because everyone was like, water's too heavy, it's not shippable, and all that stuff. So what I did is, just the first money that we put in, the 4.3 million on the founders round and seed round, which is all just myself and some friends, and Joe and some strategics that came on. I took at least $500,000 of that and built an e-com platform myself. And I bought electric vehicles in the GTA to start, and we delivered water on subscription to businesses and consumers. And we started building that business one by one to the point that now we have thousands and thousands of subscribers. It's 25% of our revenue, which historically is over $10 million in revenue. And we clock LTV of $500 plus a user a year.
Wow, that's awesome.
Which is more than what you pay for your cell phone bill. And so I built unique distribution that no one else could do, because I had the experience to be able to do it. This was before Shopify even existed. And then we one by one, with digital marketing, my expertise in digital marketing and funnel management, we built a direct to consumer business that is now super unique and extremely valuable to Flow. And then I built independent distribution across natural grocery stores. Whole Foods was one of our first customers, and we signed 3,000 locations within the first 4 months.
Wow.
And so those two things gave me the retail distribution along with direct to consumer, which was very unique at the time. No one did that business model, and it allowed us the initial first to market advantage. And when we got finished with Toronto, we went to Vancouver. And when we got finished Vancouver, we went to Montreal. And then when we got finished with Montreal, went to Ottawa. And then when we got finished Ottawa, we went to the United States of America. And that's when everything changed.
Wow. Wow. I love it, because the story is bold. It's a bold story. And there is such an importance to entrepreneurs making bold moves and taking risks. And what you did is a prime lesson in that. It was not just disrupting the way that water is consumed. So you're doing it through the Tetra Pak, but you're disrupting the way it's delivered, literally the relationship that you have with how you buy it. You also did a disruption move in that. Let's talk about differentiation. And the differentiation is clear. It's the spring water. So it has physical benefits. And then you've got, mineral spring water. And then you've got the Tetra Pak packaging itself, which is the sustainability of it. If you were to dissect that lesson for an entrepreneur, a startup founder, what would you say the key to breakthrough is? How do you find your differentiation, especially in a crowded market?
So, Joe Jackman owns an agency called Jackman Reinvent. And he's taught me a lot, probably more than anybody on the planet, about consumer brands and consumer research.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing that we did is we put it through the Jackman engine and got consumer insight out against the hypotheses at the time was that the yoga mom, now they're called the wellness woman,
Okay.
and their families, but at the time it was just yoga mom. We said, okay, let's take a look at the quality of the water, the packaging. Let's get those attributes against a consumer, and let's test to see if that consumer will buy their intention, their intent to purchase, right? And then they have like a percentage likelihood that they would buy, and then we'd mock up certain packages. And so we went through this whole branding exercise against Flow. The word flow, Flow, that's a whole other story how I acquired that trademark.
I can't imagine how that must have been easy because that's like a regular word.
Yeah, it was serendipitous. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Very serendipitous. My wife came up with the name based on this really popular book called Flow, the Flow State.
Yeah.
And I went off and grabbed that trademark and we built the brand around the consumer lifestyle of being in the flow, in this constant, state of, passion and awareness of what they want to do in the pursuit of happiness. And we basically matched that with the quality attributes of the water and the packaging. And then we came up with that all-in-one messaging that allowed for us to position against the wellness consumer. And what we found was something super important, which is not only like I probably fall into the wellness consumer, and so does my wife. So we were living that.
Yeah.
But what we found out was they didn't like plastic, and they wanted to have premium water, and the two weren't aligned with their purchases. So we found out we had a very strong purchase intent against it, and we refined that insight into action. And developed our marketing, messaging, positioning, brand, all that stuff against it, which at the time was really unique because no one could sell to them because the Fijis and Avion of the world were in plastic. And so anytime they would try to sell against them, they would have bad PR. They would have, bad consumer experiences. And so people just left them alone. What they didn't realize, and what we uncovered in the Jackman initial research, is that there's 210 million consumers in North America that fall within that category of the wellness woman and her family that purchase premium water. So we unlocked one of the largest segments of the premium water that no one could market to because they didn't have the product attributes and the values of the consumer matched. And in tech, we call this product market fit, right? And so when we found that we had product market fit, it was like, okay, now we got to go. And now we got to build the brand, build it against the consumer. And today, we predominantly 90% of our marketing is still focused on that consumer. We have 20 million consumers in North America, which is only 10% of the market, right? And
awesome.
Our brand awareness is at 20% of the market, 26 in Canada, about 20 in the US. So we still have a long way to go. We could double our sales and not even be at 20% of the market. And a brand like Fiji or Avion have 70% awareness with I think around 60% trial. So there's a long way to go just against that consumer.
Yeah.
But that's what we did. We professionalized a gut feeling into a product market fit.
I love the way that you've articulated that it is the matching of the attributes to the values of that audience, of that customer. And that's where that sweet spot for differentiation comes in, because there is unique features and there's unique benefits to the Flow spring mineral water, but it wouldn't be as powerful as it is if it didn't resonate with the values of that customer that you were talking to. It's that customer that continues to propel you forward. It's that customer that then tells your story and evangelizes for you, which is the best place to be for any brand. I mean, that's really how you build brand love and brand relationship. And it kind of makes me want to ask you about the whole influencer side of the brand. Was that strategically created, or did you stumble into that, or was that another moment of serendipity?
Well, so we're blessed with Flow because Flow is a superior hydration experience.
Right.
And it comes naturally out of my family's spring. Now it's owned by Flow, but it comes naturally out of the spring. So authenticity is super important. So I just had a product that was real. It was authentic. It was
meaningful to you personally, right?
It was meaningful to me personally for it. And that really helped a lot of getting over the challenges of like trying to sell something that is not real to consumers, because consumers want to be sold real products that are doing real things.
Right.
And we have a net promoter score of 79.
Wow.
That's higher than Apple, Netflix, and all of our beloved brands. We definitely have the highest in the water category too. And we track it every year and it hasn't changed. And for those that don't know what a net promoter score, it's the likelihood that you would recommend this product to a friend. And that's like 79% of our consumers would recommend, and they do recommend. So our consumers, and we do call it customer love, by the way, but our customer love is by far the best part of Flow. It is by far the best. Outside of the product itself, which I'm very specific at keeping the product on a very tight guardrail of being what it's supposed to be. Flow has to taste like Flow, or it's not sold. It's Flow taste, Flow attributes. They never change it. I'd never do industrial processing on the water, not even with our organic certified flavors or even sparkling, which is our new innovation. But before, when we launched, we were trying to find our consumer, and we found them. And then at a point in time, and this is what every entrepreneur wants and brand owner wants, but at a certain point in time, after Josh Donaldson did our first campaign called Mind, Body, and Flow, in 2016, 17. So only 2 years after we launched with Josh Donaldson, one of the Blue Jays players at the time. He just won MVP of the MLB. And the reason why I met him was his agent called me up and she said, "Hey, I'm Josh Donaldson's agent, and he loves your product. He drinks it all the time." And then I started typing, and she said, "You don't know who Josh Donaldson is." I said, he plays for the Blue Jays, and he has a nice haircut.
Yeah.
That's what I said. She said, "Okay, well, let me tell you about Josh." So, but the point was that Josh found the product. He bought the product. He loved the product. He loved it so much that he got his agent to call me to get a subscription to his house, nothing more. Okay. Right? He just wanted to get a subscription to his house.
Yeah.
And then we got to talking. I said, "You know what? Would Josh want to do like a campaign with us?" I said, "I can't promise him anything else other than we don't have a lot of money. We don't have, we don't have like, I could give you some shares in the company." And she said, "You know what? Josh doesn't even want shares. He loves the product. He's only going to do 2 endorsement deals this year, one for Samsung, and then you."
Oh, wow.
What? Okay. So we got a Nike trainer because he's had a Nike deal. Yeah. We flew down to Tampa with one of my good friends who's a film director, and we shot Mind, Body, and Flow for what it was, which was Josh loving Flow, training, being in the optimal flow state. And we launched it across all our retail campaigns. And that's when the brand really kind of blew up. And we started to hear the consumer's voice now. Right. They were messaging us, and we were getting the feedback from our research. And we realized at a point in time that the consumer's voice was stronger than our brand. And that was carrying us through this evolution and organic growth naturally. And then we started paying attention and putting attention behind our influencers like Josh, and started to reach out and do more outreach to consumers that we knew, because we looked at our orders forms, we knew that they were ordering them. And so the next person was Sean Mendez. And one of our shareholders was sharing a limousine service with Sean, and cool. He got into the car and there was a flow there, and he asked the limo driver, "Why is there a flow here?" He said, "We just dropped off Sean Mendez, and he drinks flow all the time. He requests it in the car, and we have to get it." And so this guy wrote a letter to Sean's father, because Sean was only 16 years old at the time, and said, we love you. Would you ever consider working with us on flow? Because we know that you love flow as well. 2 days later, he sends the letter. I get a call from Andrew, his manager in New York, and basically says, "Sean loves your product. What do you want to do?" And then we signed a 3-year deal where he became the sustainability ambassador of Flow. He made little music videos, and then he carried it through. And we really started to pay attention to the voice of the consumers, and we started to move the brand into that direction. And then we have hundreds of influencers now, from Gwyneth Paltrow to Coldplay to Post Malone gets a pallet every month to his house. Josh still gets a pallet. We probably have 200 celebrity influencers that just drink Flow, and we don't engage with them at all. Bill Gates drinks Flow.
Look at that.
As an example. And so now it's about just building that organic base out, which is great for us. And then every 2 years, for brand awareness, we go into a partnership with one of those celebrities that help us build the brand. So we did Coldplay, Gwyneth Paltrow. Then we followed through with Post Malone. Then we did a whole big campaign when we went public in 2021 with Halle Berry, Russell Westbrook, the basketball player, Black Eyed Peas, Taboo, and Sean. And it was incredible. We had 5 billion impressions. And that was all organic. They're all investors in Flow. They all had put money into Flow at this time, which was really unique, because we didn't pay them fees. They just did it because they love Flow. It matches their brands and values of their consumers. And now I have a celebrity / influencer reach out to us at least once a month, if not twice a month, that we're engaging in an organic way. So serendipity, I would say it's very serendipitous, but it's actually more than that, because it's about this product market fit, and unlocking passion in our consumers helps us unlock passion with our retailers, helps us unlock passion as an organization. And we really follow suit with our consumers. And that's why we call it customer love. We even have a customer love meter attached to our CX team that matches that love and make sure that we're delivering on what we promise.
Yeah. I love this piece that you're talking about, which is knowing the authenticity of who you are will become a gravitational pull, or it will be a push one way or another. It will pull people towards you who are like-minded, who have the same shared passions, who have the same shared values. And it will then push people away who are not like-minded. And so those celebrities and those people who are finding you believe in what you believe. And so the bond between you two is even stronger. It's not, and for you guys, it's even more, because they're invested in literally invested in the company and helping you to raise capital. So how did you get from the celebrity influencers and that round of investment to the IPO? Take us to the rest of the journey now.
Yeah. So at the time, we were building out our asset infrastructure, because we own plants to do the Tetra packing.
Yeah.
And we built out the Canadian plant, and we bought a spring in Virginia and started building out our Virginia plant.
Yeah.
And so we'd built out like $80 million worth of assets. And we had invested $120 million into the Flow brand and growth. And it got to a point where the growth was costing us so much money that we were like, we're going to need another $100 million to be able to actually build it to $100 million net revenue brand. And profitability can come after you get scale. And we saw a company, Guru Energy. They went public on the TSX, and their bankers approached us and said, hey, I think we can raise you $100 million at this type of multiple. Do you want to do it? And I had just gone through private equity and seen if they wanted to, take a larger ownership structure in our growth. And we brought it all the way to a term sheet. Then these guys approached us and said, okay, this is an alternative path. I saw their success in Guru. And so we actually took the leap to get the capital to expand the plants and all of our market share further. And that brought us onto the TSX where we are today under the ticker Flow, FLOW. It was a great journey. Like we did it for I wasn't doing it to sell the company. I was doing it to build the company. So for us as the management team, and the bulk of the shareholders, we wanted to use it as a growth platform, which it did. It provided $100 million worth of growth capital to continue to build our asset base of where we are today. So it was very good for that perspective. And then also, a lot of our shareholders made money on the IPO. And I guess from an entrepreneur standpoint, that's a good thing. What happened afterwards with the capital markets is another story, but that's what brought us to where we are today.
So the journey from being a relatively unknown, smaller brand that's being built to going to IPO you spoke to that intention not being to sell or it was to grow. Mm-hmm. What's your take on fast growth versus slow growth? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are chasing that hockey stick growth and the idea of slow growth. So now you're 10 years into it. And you're starting to make profit and the success is, you're expanding, but fast growth versus slow growth. What's your take on that?
I've never done slow growth. I've always been in very fast growing companies. I can't think of one that's been slow. I think that if you're in a saturated market, where you have a niche, competitive advantage that's not going anywhere, it's fine. Slow growth can get you to the same spot. It just takes a lot of time. But if you're in a competitive market like the water category, the premium water category, if you don't do it, someone else will. Right. So thank God we did it because 6 months after I launched, Will Smith, the actor, and Jaden Smith, his son, launched a competing product called Just Water. Huh. And I was like, oh my God, oh geez, lucky we did speed to market to get it. Right. And then we've had to compete with these guys. We're larger than they are now, but we had to compete with them to be able to build it. And if we had done slow growth, we would never have made it into the United States. We would have stayed here in Canada where they're not here because of shipping and all that stuff. And we would have been a small company and profitable and great. But now we have a chance to really make a difference and make a difference to the environment, make a difference to our shareholders, make a difference to the world by sharing it. And so slow growth has a time and place. But if you're in a competitive market, you don't have the option of slow growth.
You need that speed to market. You need those bold moves. So as we come to kind of the close, I want to ask you, looking back on your journey and maybe thinking about what is moving you forward, what's compelling you to move forward to continue to grow Flow. What would you say in one word? Give me one word that describes the purpose that powers you, that drives you forward.
Well, passion is definitely what drives me forward. Like I love Flow. I love the customers of Flow. I love everything about the company. And that passion changes everything. For me personally as an entrepreneur, And that's what keeps me going every day. When I think about hard days and the roller coaster rides that I have to go through, when I anchor back and I have talk to you about flow and I listen to myself, I'm like, pinch myself. I'm like, wow. This is
I actually believe this stuff.
It's one of the best companies in the world. And I happen to be a part of the team that brought it to life. And that's what keeps me going is passion. In fact, at our plant, we have a wall that has the saying on it, passion changes everything.
I love that. Passion changes everything. Okay. So we're coming to the close now. Share with me 2 practical tips that you would give as advice that would help founders and entrepreneurs purposefully accelerate their business and brand growth today, that would actually get them into that fast growth mode.
Well, the one is don't be penny shy, pound foolish. Everyone makes that mistake. They think that cutting can give you growth. It doesn't give you growth. And a lot of people, when they make decisions, they're trying to do the right thing by being responsible to money and growth and trying to take their time. But it's a mistake because the market moves faster and more people have more money than you do. In order to be able to get the brand to that stage, you need the growth, you need the investment going into it. And you just got to lay down the dollars and you got to lay your bets down to be able to do it. The second thing is never give up. Never give up. There's days I should have given up 100 times already. And if you give up, it's over.
Right.
If you don't give up, it's not over. It's as simple as that. But what gets me through the day is I never give up. I won't give up. This is way too good to be, not to give up. Just rely on your passion, and being in the flow state all the time is exactly what gives me the passion to drive forward.
Oh, I love that. So where can people connect with you and learn more about Flow Spring Water?
Well, on Instagram, I'm at Nicholas Reichenbach. And then we at Flow. I'm looking at all those channels. LinkedIn, I'm on all the time. You can get a hold of me there and get a promo code. We should get a promo code going for anyone that wants subscriptions.
Yes.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Nicholas, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your insights. I love the flow story, and the fact that it's a word that just rolls off the tongue, being in a flow state, get in your flow. I mean, I could just go on and on, but just go with the flow. But just in case you haven't heard this today, my friend, thank you for living and sharing your purpose and your passion. The world is made better for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Builders and Believers with Amanda Stassen. If today's conversation gave you something to think about or reminded you why you build what you do, share it with a founder, leader, or team who's on the same journey. You can follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and join me on LinkedIn or Instagram for more ideas on leading, scaling, and building businesses that move people and make a difference. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate, review, and share it with your network so together we can spread the message of building business as a force for good. Because building something that matters takes both the builder and the believer. Bye for now.